Yesterday's chubby guy behaved like a cranky child, causing Alina to cancel the order. Dan, seeing her youthful flair, thought she was courting trouble. He suggested a new job or lifestyle change, but Alina replied helplessly, "Dare she?" Two walked and chatted until they were stopped by a Mercedes. It turned out to be Alina's boss, who wasted no time in slapping her. Instead of intervening in the violent act, Brother Dan chose to play the observer, silently watching as the black boss tossed Alina into the car, thinking Dan was the fridge. The boss kindly left her a business card, while Brother Dan started to wonder if it was time to activate his revenge mode. The next day, he stumbled upon a heavily injured Alina in the hospital. After chatting with her friend, Brother Dan learned Alina got beaten up for fighting back against the violence, and she was threatened that if it happened again, they would slit her throat. That night, Brother Dan pondered why some people were so fearless before quietly walking into the black boss office. The outcome: everyone was blasted off in 19 seconds. But the show wasn't over. A tough guy named Morgan stepped off a private jet and headed straight to the crime scene with the black ops. Glancing at photos of his fallen comrades, Morgan initially judged that they were up against a professional killer, all of them members of the Russian mob, solely dedicated to handling business in America. The mastermind behind it all was named Pushkin, and Morgan was his top enforcer. Any trouble in the gang was his problem to solve. Morgan's approach was simple: first hit up the rival gang for intel. John, the Irish gang's leader, already had beef with the Russians. Though not behind the massacre, he gave Morgan no friendly look and launched insults at once. In response, Morgan turned into a sly fox, his aura of menace thick enough to cut through. Using just his fists, Morgan nearly turned John into a pancake. He held back, sensing this coward couldn't possibly be the mastermind. But since he was already in a fight, Morgan didn't care. He played the role of the cocky aggressor. Meanwhile, Brother Dan was also busy rushing to Ray's mum's store. The two were cleaning up post-fire. A glance at Dan confirmed it was deliberate. Sure enough, once the shop reopened, two black cops chased off customers without a care and boldly demanded protection money. But these two idiots ran into Brother Dan. They thought this homeless guy wouldn't care and got ready to drive off. However, they didn't expect a phone call from Brother Dan, making them flip the car back in a panic. Seeing the two get out of the car, Brother Dan elegantly produced the crime video. One of them, seeing the evidence, pulled out a gun and ordered his buddy to search Brother Dan. In just 3 seconds, Dan had orchestrated a counterattack, unloading the bullets and walking away without a glance back. He ordered the two to return all the stolen protection money, or the crime video would be viral on the internet. The next day, the two black cops returned the money to Ray's mom, which was practically months of expenses for them. After dealing with the harassment from the cops, Ray returned to work and got promoted to a full-fledged security guard with Dan's help. Meanwhile, Morgan's probe ruled out rival gangs as suspects, but Dan aroused his suspicion that day. The next day, Morgan visited Alina's friend's home to get some info. The frightened friend revealed that someone had come to ask questions at the hospital that day. After getting the intel, Morgan gave her water, then went to the back and brutally ended her life. Meanwhile, Brother Dan was busy at the factory when he unexpectedly found himself facing a robbery at the register, a young guy holding a gun. To protect Jenny, Dan dutifully complied, but the kid unexpectedly demanded she also take off her ring. Spotting a child walk in, Dan chose not to escalate things and asked Jenny to first hand over the ring. After the heist, Dan elegantly exited and casually memorized the license plate, then returned to the factory to grab a hammer. Next day, Jenny found the ring in the cash register, while Dan cleaned the blood from the hammer and put it back on the shelf. Dealing with these lowlifes was a piece of cake, but that night, Dan sensed a sharp chill in the air. He cautiously opened the door, seeing Morgan, who posed as FBI to probe the massacre. He showed Dan a photo of the friend being strangled, implying intimidation tactics. He also tried to gauge Dan's strength through his reaction, but Dan saw right through him as a thug. After all, Dan was CIA top killer, unsparing in verbal clash. Morgan, stop pretending. If you disagree, fight. Morgan knew Dan was tough and left, spotting the cars below. Dan was already making plans in his mind, and the following day he set up a bunch of hidden cameras. Meanwhile, Morgan probed Dan's background but found all fake info. Dan had no records, and that evening, a worker entered the restaurant. Dan instantly recognized him as a hitman. His eyes screamed danger. "I know we're waiting for someone," he said. Before he could finish, the man pulled out an assault rifle and approached Dan. "Get out and hop in the car," he ordered. All of this unfolded under Morgan's watchful eye, but things took a turn when Dan swiftly exited the restaurant. Dan used his phone to snap Morgan. Some men got out to grab him. Prepared, Dan quickly took one down. Dan grabbed the phone, and over here, Morgan and his crew rushed to Dan's place while Dan was tending to his wounds. Once they entered, they discovered the whole house was completely empty. Don't forget to hit subscribe to our channel.